Hello everyone, I'm Charlie Dawn and welcome to my library. Today's video is my November wrap up and I have 6 books to talk about. The first book is The Invisible Life of Addy Larue by V.E. Schwab. It's a new release and I ate it up. I listened to it on Audible and oh my god. Potentially favourite book of the year. And to come at such a late point in the year, I like that. Also, my earrings are so like wibbly wibbly. I'm pretty sure you would have heard of this book. It's been like doing the rounds recently. Even my boyfriend is reading it. We have, I don't think, ever read the same book. Oh, do you know what? We both read V.E. Schwab's other book, A Dark Shade of Magic. It's V.E. Schwab. Our relationship relies on her. Without giving anything away, the story of Addy Larue is that she is cursed to be forgotten by anyone she meets. And that's pretty much all I can say without giving anything else away. But it's set in... Is this a spoiler? If you want to know nothing about it, skip ahead. It's set in a couple of different time periods from like the 1700s to 2014 to 2013. That's not such a big jump, but it is for the story. It's set kind of all across Europe and across the world and truly blew me away. The writing style is so magical, but not like fantastical, not like dragons and wizards, but like lyrical. And it's been a while since I've read a book like that because I wouldn't say it's magical realism because it is actually a bit magical. Like it's not just set in like a regular everyday scenario with a bit of like flowery wordery. Hang on, screaming child walking past my house. I'll wait. Come on guys, I have a deadline, the sun is setting. I might just carry on, this child doesn't seem to be stopped screaming anytime soon. I saw somewhere that she's been writing this book for about 10 years, like on and off, and you can really tell. Every sentence is perfectly written. There's never a time where I read it and thought, oh, that's a bit clunky, or that didn't make a lot of sense. There's always a sentence in any book that I read, usually, where I think, You know when you like read or listen to a sentence and you just think, ooh, something didn't sit right with me there, like the wording didn't sound right or the metaphor was a bit of a stretch. Never. There was not a word wasted, not a sentence out of place. Everything was just really perfectly written, and most of the time if I read a book and it sort of something takes me out of it, like, oh, I didn't like the way that punctuation was written, extreme example. This one actually sort of took me out of the book sometimes because I was thinking, wow, I really enjoyed this. I gave it 5 stars because it was so beautifully written, and I don't know if it's a sequel or not. I feel like I would really enjoy it to be a sequel, like a series, even a duology. Just think it could easily be a standalone, and if it is a standalone, okay, fine, yeah, that chapter is closed. But Victoria, if you're listening, I would like a second. And I will wait 10, no, I won't wait 10 years, okay. Oh my god, I'll be 33 in 10 years. Oh, I just teared up a little bit. Gather yourself, bloody hell, slip slap. I feel like I'm gonna have watery eyes now. I can't carry on with watery eyes. Okay. The second book on my list is Vox by Christina Dolce or Dolce. I think it's Dolce. I also listened to this one on Audible. I gave it 3 stars. It wasn't the feminist book it thought it was, or I thought it was. Its premise, fantastic, amazing. I can see why it is like a bestseller. I know it's been around for a few years now. I can see why people like it. It basically is just The Handmaid's Tale, and I don't think even the author would deny that. I think it's heavily inspired. But I mean, what like feminist dystopian isn't inspired by the Handmaid's Tale? But, okay, do you know what my main issue was for the whole book? I just don't think she ever thought about the fact that deaf people exist. Sorry, I should probably say the synopsis first. The synopsis is that it's in America where this president has introduced these crazy rules where women just can't say a lot of words. So they will have these like bracelets, they're like wrist, like a Fitbit but worse, and you can't say more than 100 words a day or you get shocked. And that's pretty scary. You can't, like, women don't work, women don't do anything. It's terrible. Like, it's a terrible world, and it's happened like really quickly. My point was, they're not allowed to like sign to each other. Any sort of like signing to get your point across, so like speaking without words, you're not allowed to do. And like these two women, this isn't a massive spoiler, but these two women were like caught finger spelling in a grocery store and they were like taken away. But then like, what about deaf women? Women who use sign language? It was just never mentioned, and I just kept thinking, well, are there no deaf women in this world? Like, everything else was very much like a normal American world, just with these changes. So where were the deaf women? Did they just literally have no like communication at all? But it just seemed like she hadn't thought of that, and I thought, well, that was like one of the first things I thought of, because I thought, well, if they can sign, then what about deaf women? Surely they're just living it large, you know? They're like, oh, well, you can't speak, but we can sign, so joke's on you. But no, not even a mention of it. I thought was weird. I think she just thought, oh, that's a bit of a tough conundrum to try and work my way around. I'll just pretend it doesn't exist. Because if it was that even deaf women couldn't sign, then I feel like there would have been more uproar and saying like, this is totally unfair, like you've taken away most of our voices, but this specific group of women, you've taken their whole communication away. But no one said anything about that, so. But they did, like, some people knew sign language in the book. So, I just thought that was like a lazy part where I thought, she's not thought that through. Where were the deaf women? So it wasn't the feminist thing manifesto that I expected. And maybe I'm reading this wrong, which could be the case. I'm not the all-knowing, omnipotent, that's the wrong word, isn't it? Omniscient? Flashback to GCSE RE, omnipotent, omniscient, it's gone. It's been a long time since GCSE, sorry Miss Noakes. The main character, I didn't feel like she had much of a personality. And you know in The Handmaid's Tale, you don't get to hear like that much from her either, you know, because it's quite like disjointed. Like you only learn like certain bits, but you still get a really good sense of her as a character and like who she was before this, even though she's in this situation where she can't really be herself. I didn't get that vibe from this one, unfortunately. I just thought she was a bit like, but maybe that was the point, because she's not really a feminist. Like, I don't think she would have called herself one beforehand. And there's a few spoilers here. There's a lot of talk about like how she was best friends in college, or roommates, with this like feminist warrior woman who like went to all the marches and said like, this is gonna get bad. And the main character was like, no, it'll be fine. I'm not going to the march because I'm revising. And like, okay, she had an exam, like fair dues. But then the point was that she never tried, like she never tried to fight for anyone's rights, and it was kind of that thing of, well, she thought she was okay, so she didn't bother, and she didn't vote and things like that. So she was like only really bothered when things got bad for her. And I'm not saying like, you know, people are like that sometimes, and that's a realistic perspective, but I just thought, if this is meant to be a feminist story, the main character being a bit blasé about women's rights, and just didn't sit very solidly with me. Like, it was only when she got the wrist counter she was like, oh, I should have gone to those marches. Like, yeah. So I didn't feel a lot of sympathy for her. I felt sympathy because of like her in general. Like, I felt sympathy for all the women who have been, you know, the children, all these little girls who had wrist counters on, they were taught not to speak all day. But it just didn't seem very feminist. Like, I think at one point she called someone a slut. And I was like, oh. I may have got that wrong, but there was a part where she like said something bad about another woman that was like really unnecessary, and I thought, what message are we sending? Like, what was the message? Was the message actually that if you do nothing, bad things will happen? Like, this is a woman who thought she was very safe to just do nothing because she was like well, nothing affects me. But then when it does, she's like, oh crap, I should have. Maybe it's like that, but maybe it didn't read like that for me. The next one was a really cute one. It was called Eat and Love Yourself by Boo Sweeney. What a name, Boo Sweeney. Oh, I'm so sorry, it's Sweeney Boo. Sorry, Sweeney Boo. Boo Sweeney. Well, I wasn't too far off. Sweeney Boo. It's about this lovely woman called Mindy. She's a plus size girl and she struggles with an eating disorder, and she eats this chocolate bar that like takes her on a journey. I really liked the artwork. The colour schemes were really lovely. I do think that this should be a series. If it's not going to be, I'm a bit disappointed. I feel like it ends on a bit of a I don't know. I feel like it just ends in a bit of a everything will be okay. And I'm like, well, will it? Can I see? Can I see it being okay? Can I see the journey to it being okay? Because, spoiler, I don't think it is okay. Just because you say to yourself, I'm gonna be okay, that's not like an instant remedy, or we would all be okay. She kind of says to herself, okay, I'm gonna get a grip on this and I'm gonna be okay. And that's really good. But I want to see it. I gave it 4 stars because I thought the ending was a bit if it wasn't like a continuation. I read another graphic novel called Jane, the Fox and Me by Fanny Britt and Isabelle Arsenault. I think it's French though, so Arsenault. I didn't enjoy it, unfortunately. The the illustrations are like pencil drawing, I think. It's about a girl who has no friends and she reads Jane Eyre to be happy, to feel like she has friends. The Fox was such an underwhelming part of it for me. I feel as though it didn't need to be part of it. My favourite part of it though was, so she's like a young teenager and she doesn't feel like she fits in. So there's this bit where she like tries on a swimsuit, and I don't know how much of that you can see, but she says, so there's one costume that she likes and there's one that she doesn't. And she says, in the Monaco suit, I'm a ballerina sausage. In the black suit, I'm an Undertaker sausage. I'm a sausage. And I thought that was really funny because I've been there. Like, I remember trying on swimming costumes, clothes, school uniform with my mum when I was like 13 and being like, I hate every part of this. Get me out of here. I'm a sausage. I used to call myself a Yorkshire pudding. Just felt like that really summed me up. I just feel like a Yorkshire pudding. But everyone loves Yorkshire puddings. So what was I talking about? Yeah, it was really sweet in terms of that, you know, it was relatable and she was a sad teenager who had like self-esteem issues and she went to a book to help with this you know, I'm trying to say things. It didn't grip me. I read it in like an hour, I think, less, and I just thought, I won't ever read that again, so. Then I read Two Dark Rains by Kendare Blake, and this is the second to last book, and I have read this before. I'm rereading it so I can get to the last book in December, hopefully. Not hopefully, I'm gonna read it. I'm gonna start it this month, but I'll finish it in December, I reckon. This one actually is potentially my least favourite in the whole series. That's not to say it's bad, I still will probably give it 4 stars because overall it's a great book, but it's my least favourite in the series because it feels a bit disjointed. Spoiler from here on out. Just keep flicking through if you don't want to hear it, I don't know. Mirabella and Arsenault and Billy have gone to the mainland and Queen Catherine is the queen crowned and Jules is training with the warriors to become the Legion Queen. So there's 3 really strong storylines going on, but, oh, hear that gurgle? Woo! But I didn't love it when they're on the mainland. It just felt too disconnected from the whole Fenburn atmosphere. I actually probably loved Catherine, whoever she is, storyline the most, and I don't think I've said that before. It just felt a bit flatter, but just a bit too flat in comparison to what's happened in the other books. But I do think it sets it up for an amazing last book because the ending, Jesus, oh my God. Oh my God. Wow. And it all happens in the last like 10% of the book. The big like all happens in the last 10%, maybe even 5% because the last 5% is usually like acknowledgements, isn't it? I remember reading it 2 years ago and then the 5th book hadn't come out yet and I was like, how do I carry on? What happens? I need to know. Now I'm gonna find out. But yeah, this one, still probably a 4 out of 5. I just don't like them being off the island. That's all. My last one is an Adventure Time comic book, graphic novel, I think probably comic book, I don't know. But it's the gender bent one, so it's instead of Jake and Finn and Jake, it's Fiona and Cake. I really love this so much. It's, I mean, one, the cover is so pretty. I love it. And so it's Marshall Lee instead of Marceline. It's Prince Gumball, not Princess Bubblegum. And it's LSP is the same, Lumpy, Lumpy Space Prince. Oh, and the Ice Queen. But Gunter was the same. So those were my 6 books that I read this month. I think I had a pretty good reading month this month. I didn't love a lot of the ones I read, I don't think, or they were not quite right, but I think once you read Addy Larue, what can top it? Nothing, not a lot. Probably is my favourite book I've read this year, like new book, new release. Thank you for watching my November wrap up. I hope you liked this video. If you did, give it a thumbs up, like in the corner, and subscribe if you want to see more. And I hope to see you next time in my library. Oh, I should have had a Gaviscon before I started this video. Oh. Ah. Anyway, sorry.